Hey guys, William here with Patriot Containers, making another video of my 6-part series. In this video, I'm going to be talking about IICL and what condition that is, what it really is. It's kind of a mystery description with what it is, but my previous two videos, I go over the most common abused term in this industry. It's called wind and watertight. If you're watching this video before you buy a container, I highly recommend going back and watching that video about what wind and watertight really is. And then the video I made after that was called what is cargo worthy, or CW, really? And then I go into the details about that. So if you're finding my videos for the first time, I've been doing cargo container sales for 13 years. 13 years ago, I used to work for two companies that were horrible, that did nothing good for the customers that we sold to. I sold them once I made the sale, the paperwork was off my desk and nothing was handled correctly. I hated it so much that once I finally figured out with what was going on, that nothing I was saying was the truth, I ended up leaving and I started my own business. I started my business, Patriot Containers, to have a very simple motto. It's tell the truth, deliver on the right day, and show up with a good used container, not a bad used container, a good used container visually, and then it functions correctly. And then also new ones. I love selling new ones. I highly recommend everybody buying a new container. So, been in business for 11 years, and I only have 3 complaints on my business in 11 years. And if you ever read them, they never ever bought a container from me. So, I've sold anywhere from 10 to 20,000 containers. I'm going to safely assume that it's about 15,000 containers. And if you sell something correctly with honesty, people don't complain. If you talk people out of junk and you don't tell them the cheapest container is nice, and these other companies with false warranties and false money back guarantees, if you lie in the beginning, you're going to get complaints. If you don't lie and you tell the truth and you sell it correctly, you don't get complaints and you have referrals and repeat business. So that's it about me. IICL. So I'm going to go over the totem pole of the worst to the best containers. The one at the very bottom is damaged, and then you have as is. I have not made videos about that yet. Then you have wind and watertight. I made a video about that, of what it truly means. And then cargo worthy, and then IICL. IICL is at the very top of the used containers. It's the best condition you could buy. And then after that, it's a new one. And obviously new is in its own category. They're perfect. They're beautiful. It's just, and they come with a price. But if you're looking, so a lot of these companies that sell containers, and I'm talking about 90% of companies that are trying to sell you something, but they're also trying to make a commission, and they'll do with whatever it takes to make that sale. They're not thinking about you, they're thinking about their paycheck. These companies offer new and only one used. It's like a grab bag. They're going to try to win you over with a price, a low price, and then tell you every trick in the book to make you purchase that used container. But in that grab bag, it's probably a cheap, crappy product. If you see what I'm saying? So after cargo worthy is a great used container that isn't going to break the bank, and it's way better than wind and watertight. In my opinion, wind and watertight's horrible. And then when it gets really bad, it's these companies that are selling you, they're purchasing and shipping you damaged and as is, but they sold you wind and watertight. But if they really do sell you a wind and watertight container, it could be the worst thing you've ever seen with no holes. But these companies will deliver you containers with holes, which means they didn't sell you wind and watertight. So what is IICL? Before this video, I sent out 3 emails to 3 shipping lines asking for a short description of what IICL is. So I'm going to go over this really quick. Here's one shipping line's definition. It has to do with a very specific criteria. I don't know all the specs. Dents can only dents can only be so many inches and so on. Your best bet is to go to Google for that info. That's one shipping line. Here's another one, another shipping line. IICL stands for the Institute of International Container Lessors. Basically, it is a standard that is used to determine if containers are one notch above cargo worthy containers in terms of damage or condition. I believe it is 6th iteration. Some of the requirements have to do with the age, but I'm not sure what year the cutoff is. Each equipment, dry, reefer, open top, blah, 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 has its own methodology of inspecting and determining if it qualifies as IICL. So as you can see, I have two responses from two different shipping lines, and that description is kind of different. So I buy IICL all the time if it's available. Some of the depots where the containers are stored and where the shipping lines store their containers, some of the specific depots where the inventory is at, they might not do an IICL inspection. They only inspect for cargo worthy. So they're going to have damaged, as is, wind and watertight, cargo worthy. But that doesn't mean that you can buy cargo worthy and in that stack is IICL containers. They just didn't inspect it for that standard. Some depots, they do the full inspections and then they're going to write on that container IICL, and I'm going to have an inventory of actually buying that specific condition for my customers. Sometimes IICL is not available. Sometimes it's there sometimes, and sometimes it's not. So when my definition, and I'm going to go by mixed people that have told me mixed information. Now, this is not 100% accurate. IICL is supposed to be a cargo-worthy container, but 10 years or younger. A cargo-worthy container can be a really good container and be 30 years old, and it still looks good. It still works great. It has a big age of years, but it's still a good container. And it'll function just like it's, 11 or 12 years old. It just but it looks great and it functions great, and that's what you need. IICL is supposed to be 10 years or younger is what I've heard from other shipping lines, but it is a mixed description of what it is. Fact though, when IICL is available, I can purchase cargo worthy at, let's say, $1,500, and I could purchase IICL at $1,600 or $1,700 or $1,800. 9 times out of 10, IICL is the best used container you can get. 1 out of 10 is a cargo worthy container, which is just fine as well. I just paid more money for a container that I could have saved, $100 to $300 on. And so 9 times out of 10, it is the most superior used container you can get. Out of the 15,000 containers I've sold in 11 years, I have purchased used containers that are so perfect that I'm looking at it going, holy crap, that looks like a brand new container. All of those containers have been IICL containers. But if I sell that to you as, oh yeah, you're going to get this perfect container, I'm already setting you up to be unhappy when you could get the nicest used container money will buy you, and it'll look really nice. If I sell it to you as a new one with a different color, you're going to be upset. It's the only way to get a new container is to buy a new one. But on used, it's not one condition like these other companies are telling you. And again, you got to read their terms and conditions. They only sell one condition, and then they have every trick in the book to not be accountable for whatever damage or holes or rust issues it has. And it was sold to you incorrectly. If you're looking for a good container that actually looks good and you don't want to buy a new one, I highly recommend don't buy wind and watertight from these crappy companies or myself, because it takes a miracle for you to break me down and to sell you a possible problem. And I'm not a salesperson, I'm a business owner. If you have a problem, I have a problem. I can avoid that problem with telling you not to buy it and to buy a better container. It's up to you whether you want to listen or not. And my help is genuine. So Cargo Worthy is a great container. IICL is the best used. And then a new one tripper. But yeah, I do pay more when it is available. You know, my eyes when I'm looking for containers or I'm quoting containers to my customers, my eyes are searching for Cargo Worthy. If IICL is there and I can purchase it, I will definitely offer it to you. And I always quote new ones too. I truly believe that everybody wants a new container. Not everybody, but like 90% of people want new containers. They just don't like the price of it. But new containers are totally psychological. You don't want to pay for it now, but if you do buy it and it shows up as a new, as is in the mint condition that it's in, you ain't going to care about the extra money you spend. You're going to be happy with that container and go, wow, this thing's great. I'm glad I bought it. Back to IICL. It's the best used you can buy. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the most best used, better than Cargo Worthy. And again, it's not always available. If it is available, I will offer it. If it's not available, I'm going to sell you Cargo Worthy or a new one. And that's it. I emailed 3 shipping lines, and their responses are a little bit different. Some of these companies that are ripping you guys off, I've called them and I go, hey, what about IICL? The salespeople had no clue of what that even is. And they're like, we don't know what that is. Of course you don't, because you don't care about the products you're selling. You're a salesperson that doesn't have your fingers involved in the business. Your job is just commissions only. And again, they're going to tell you every hook, line, and sinker to make you purchase that crappy, cheap, junky container. And then all the lies that you were told in their terms and conditions means they don't have to honor anything, and you're totally screwed with the crappy product that they brought you. So anyways, IICL is the best used. It is not new. New is in its own category. That's it. And everything else is used. But these companies that are saying, and here's another thing that I've said in my previous videos, these companies go as far as saying, if you care about the way your container looks, you have to buy new. So what is that saying? What are they really saying about their used container? That it looks crappy, that it could have holes, that it could have a really deep cancerous rust? That's kind of with what they're saying. They just don't want to tell you that, because if they do tell you the truth, you won't buy it. But the fact is you can make sales harder with the truth, or you can make it easier with minimal information and lies. So here's your expensive, perfect one. Here's our cheap, crappy one. And we're going to tell you a bunch of lies so you buy it. But what about the good containers that they're not purchasing, they're not offering? And again, some of these companies, they'll sell you Cargo Worthy, but then on the same line item, it'll say Cargo Worthy / wind and watertight. Well, that's 2 different containers. Which one do you think you're getting? If it's cheap, which one do you think you're getting? You're not getting the Cargo Worthy one. You're getting the wind and watertight or damaged and as is. So anyways, guys, IICL can be confusing. They do cost more money than wind and watertight or Cargo Worthy. But 9 times out of 10, you can get the nicest used container money will buy you by buying IICL. It's not always available. Some depots do not inspect up to that high standards. Some depots only inspect to Cargo Worthy. So that's a good thing, because then you could buy Cargo Worthy and possibly get an IICL container anyways. So anyways, guys, that's it. Made 2 videos. Thursday the 21st. Have a great day. Bye.